live, so be careful what you say.
Yeah.
I'm kidding, guys.
That's funny. Where did my... Not that one. This one.
Okay, so John is teaching on DOM.
Yeah, so I'll share my screen
Yeah, DOM manipulation.
quick. Desktop. Can you guys see my screen?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know what. First of all, I want to ask is, how have you guys done on DOM so far? Because whoa, where'd my screen go? Can you guys see my screen?
I can see your cursor. That's about it. There you go.
Okay. So the reason I'm asking that question is because the reason I wanted to go over DOM again was because I hadn't turned in my stuff yet. And so, you know, I spent the week working on the DOM stuff and getting my stuff ready. And I've done okay. I mean, I got like an 8.2 out of 10. So I still got a little bit of work to do. But I want to know kind of how much do you guys want to go into this? Because really the reason I wanted to do it is because I needed it for me.
Yeah, it's all right.
You know what I mean? So James, I mean, have you done your DOM stuff yet?
Yeah, I've done my DOM stuff, but I can always learn more. There's more to learn.
Okay, well, I don't. So basically, I mean, the topic, you know, is creating elements of pin childs, insert before and remove childs. So when I did this, you know, I did my program, and my response back from him was, I need to do a couple more things, like the insert before type deal. So I mean, I'll show you the little program, and unless you've already seen it, but it kind of shows that, you know, I can add to my movie list. I can delete my movie list, but I didn't like do some of the appending stuff, so I have to work on that. So I kind of took the. I mean, we know about this part, right? You know what DOM is. You know, standard object model and program interface, and you got your properties, your methods, your events that you work with. So I don't really. Do you guys think I need to go over this much? Are you guys okay with this part? I think we kind of all got it.
Wherever you want to spend your time.
What I basically want to do is go through the different pieces, like these pieces. You know, it talks about the different, you know, inserting elements before and after. You know, first you got to create an element, which up top it shows you, you know, how to create an element, and then there's the inserting elements before and after. And so here it shows you, like, if we started with, you know, a div of 1, 2, and 3. If you wanted to add it between 1 and 2, on the right side, it shows you, you know, how to add it with the get element by ID. And then you the insert adjacent HTML after end, and it will put 1.1 in between the 1 and the 2. If you want to put it before, that's the code below it, which says document get element by ID 1, insert before begin. I've also noticed when I did this, there's different ways to do this. Like this adjacent HTML piece, I hadn't seen that piece before.
I haven't either.
Yeah, I mean, it was kind of interesting. There's different pieces on different ways to do it.
So
was this on W3 Schools, or where did you find about
no,
the
I did. You know what? I decided not to do W3 Schools this time because that was kind of what was used last time.
Yep.
So I kind of wanted to find a different way of doing it. Does that kind of make sense?
Yeah.
So
it does.
I knew that I wanted to make it a little bit different from the first time we went through it. So I looked at different options here.
Okay. John, can you go back a slide there? I'm just so what's going on with the 1 point, like where it says div ID equals 1.1? How does that?
What's that doing is it's taking the 1.1 and it's putting it in between the 1 and the 2.
So you can whatever's in that little.
Enter any decimal value between those two, 1 and 2, between those two values.
It's dumping it in between the two of them, yeah. So if you
when this got down, decimal, it's dumping that whole div.
Yeah, it's what's held between the divs. So it's putting it after the 1.
So if I were to do another one that was 1.2, then it would put it after the 1.1 div that was created? Is that, or
personally, I think it would put it right after the 1 still. So you'd have to say put it after the 1.1 if you wanted to put it after the 1.1.
okay?
You'd have to change your document.getElementById 1 if you wanted to do 1.2. Change that 1.
Oh, you're just creating your ID as
Yes.
okay. That's
what it's telling it is put it after the 1 and put it in as 1.1.
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
And then the next one is put it before the 1 and see it's putting the 1.9 or putting the 0.9
Right.
before the 1.
Okay.
And then this is the inserting the elements as a child. So on the left-hand side, if we started with the parent and an old child and the div as a parent and an old child, we want to create this piece. If you want to put it first, then you do the same thing after begin and put it the new child before. And if you want to put the child last, then you can put the before end and do the same type of stuff.
How does insert before?
I think personally I think it's the same way, because when you get down a little bit further, it says the same thing. You can do it this way or that way. So I think this is just another way of doing it.
Okay.
I hadn't seen it before, and I found it kind of interesting. So I decided to go.
Especially since you can do it after begin and before end, meaning it gives you multiple options versus insert before. You just pick the one you wanted to insert it before, and then pick the content that you wanted to insert in there.
Yeah. It's kind of cool. This is kind of a different way of doing it. And then this is if you wanted to move the element around. So if you wanted to put it into a different spot. So if you wanted to relocate it, it shows it. There's your insert before right there. See the part right there says insert before document get element by ID orphaned.
Right.
Okay.
So I mean, there are pieces that showed stuff we had done in the previous lessons, and then this part shows just a different way of doing it. And then this one is basically removing an element. If you want to remove an element, it shows like I created a remove me type parent, then you say remove child document and what you want to remove. So I mean, it's kind of the same type of stuff as we'd learned in the other classes. This is adding and removing CSS classes. So you got your ID of add remove. If we want to add a CSS class, if we want to add the bold to the CSS class, this shows you how to add and remove the bold piece in the add line. And then it shows you in the remove part how to take that out. Did you guys do any of this stuff in your other programming classes where you change or not programming classes, but in any of your programs where you're using DOM to mess with the actual CSS classes?
Yeah, but I used .class list instead of .class name.
Okay.
I did class list, and then I could check if it contained a specific class, manipulated a certain way, or .class list .remove, .class list .add.
Yeah.
Remove classes to it. I think class name. Oh, I guess you've got the plus equals right there.
Yeah.
Plus equals bold, meaning that it will just append it on versus rename it. I didn't know about the plus equals there. That's good to know.
Yeah. So this is the adding and removing the class. And then this is adding and changing text content where you can change, what, instead of having hi there and there, you can change it to goodbye. So you can update the text with the element by ID dot text content. And then that's basically all I went through this week. You guys have, I don't know if Michael, you've kind of seen what I did. It was a lot like Melissa's, how she did her program, but I did kind of a movie list. Let's see if I can bring that up. And then this is how I did mine. I kind of created the little buttons that look like you're pushing a button. It's like if you click on this, it brings in the Ajax JSON stuff. But this is what I'm using to insert. I know, Melissa, you got into it more where you're able to edit it and append a child before.
Yeah, that's just when I add the row that I do the insert before, and I just insert it before that last row.
Yeah. So I know he wants me to change mine up a little bit and add some more of the different DOM functionality into mine. But this was my first.
Okay.
Sorry, what? Go ahead.
No,
you're fine.
Finish your sentence.
I was just saying I've got to change mine up and make it fit kind of what he wanted. So it was my first stab at the DOM stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And then I put these.
When I was playing around with it earlier, when you click retrieve Ajax/JSON, if you click it multiple times, it just adds
it adds more in. Yeah, I know. Mm-hmm. I know that too. And it also isn't saving this piece out into local storage. It's just saving the pieces that you add into these rows.
Mm-hmm.
And I was going to work on that, but the main reason I didn't mess with it too much, because if I delete it out of the local storage, I can still get it back with the retrieve from the file.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah, what you can do is just have another button that says add to local storage, meaning add whatever's in the table to local storage and do it that way.
Yep. Yeah. I just turned it in to see, what I would get and what I needed to work on. So I figured I'd have to do more to it,
So what did he want you to add then?
Mm-hmm.
If you looked at, I'll show you what he wanted me to use the outer HTML to control the creative. You use the outer HTML to control the creation of the table. Let's see some work using the create, add, and remove elements. And then, that will complete that section for my DOM piece.
Okay.
So but if you look at create any elements?
That's what I was wondering, because it looks pretty fully fledged.
I'll show you my code in there. But what's funny is, or not funny, what's kind of cool is, I put some of those buttons in trying to mess with the stuff, and he gave me some scores for
yeah, that's nice.
Attempting to do some of the CSS stuff, which is really nice. I mean, that was the idea. It was trying to link a lot of them together.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, why don't you pull up your...
Can you see this screen?
You have to make it bigger. Meaning just make the screen yeah, there you go.
Is that better?
Yeah.
So my movie list code is right here. So this is just the HTML stuff. I added the movies so that you couldn't delete them, the ones that he liked. So automatically. And then in the JavaScript stuff, here's where I add my rows, where I do my outer HTML.
Oh, so you're only doing outer HTML instead of actually create element.
Yeah. Yeah, and he wants me to do some of that.
Yeah, because right now on your line 20 or whoa, I'm losing.
I'll stop moving, sorry.
29.
Yeah.
No, 20. With your var row, you're just stringing it all into a string.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, pop that out to where you're doing create element tr and then set class or set ID to row and then create a text element for table length or whatever. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
No, that's just that's part of your ID. Never mind.
Yeah, so he wants me to change. He wants me to change some of that up, which that's cool. It's just some more stuff I get to learn. So
mm-hmm.
It was my
first. It makes your code a lot longer. I'll tell you that.
Yeah. I was just taking my first stab at it. Here's where I save my movies, the movie list, and I wanted to clear my local storage out, so that's kind of where I did that.
Mm-hmm.
And then I did the validate code, to check to see if stuff had been entered, which was kind of fun to mess around with because I hadn't done really into that stuff. So if you don't put anything into the file, where'd my darn browser go? Oh yeah, well, we can click on this. If you don't put anything in and hit the add button, it just pops up red and puts an exclamation point.
Nice.
Very nice.
So.
Yeah, mine just goes red. It doesn't do an exclamation point. I like the exclamation
point.
Well,
same thing. Just added that piece to it.
That's nice.
Can I see where you do your validation code?
Yeah. Yep. Let me get rid of some of these screens. Can you see that one?
Yeah.
So I did my validate code right here.
Yeah, I don't even add a class to it. I probably should have. I just changed the style of the element to red for both of them. The class would probably be simpler so that if I ended up adding more rows, it has a class.
Huh. Cool.
Here's my JSON Ajax. Here's where it goes and gets the movie list, which I just, is right here. Just created it's just a file with where I just put some movies in. It just pulls that in.
Nice.
So it was pretty fun. I haven't been doing this stuff in a long time, so it's kind of fun learning all this stuff. But man, you made a comment last week that it's hard for you to get all your hours in. I feel I'm so far behind on some stuff that it takes me a lot of time researching this stuff and trying to figure out how to do it.
It takes me a
I
while
definitely
too.
got my hours in this week.
Yeah, your card game's cool.
That card game took a while.
Yeah.
But the funny thing is last week I probably would have gotten the right amount of time, but I reused my DOM code from the week before, myself out by reusing stuff, but it didn't take me as long. Whereas it probably would have taken me as long if I had not reused it.
Yeah. So, I mean, it kind of be interesting. I don't know how far along, we are, or even Michael, how far along Michael is with this stuff, but it'd be interesting to see what else we need to kind of teach on, because I'm starting to get further along with some of my stuff. So
it's weird seeing myself. Can you click off?
Is that what you're doing? Was wait?
I was waving at myself. Yeah.
I was wondering what you're doing. That's funny. Here you look at Jason.
There you go.
There you go.
I'm not putting myself on there.
Well, it kept coming in as I kept talking, but it was going slower, so my mouth was still moving even though I stopped. Wave. And then it takes 3 seconds before it actually showed that I waved.
Tripping you out.
It was pretty fun. Sorry.
So
for Michael, go ahead.
So I was just thinking. So my stuff personally, where I stand on my what I need to get done is the.
Whoa, we lost him. What he needs to get done is, and then he dropped out.
Cliffhanger. Dang it. Yeah. I mean, there's in the grades it says project personal assessment, and it has 10 points. Is that all it's going to be worth in the end? Because I thought he said it was going to be worth a third of our grade.
I don't know, to be honest, what's going on.
I kind of wish he'd he would come to one of our meetings one of these times.
I know. That's why I like really made sure to like give him our link and then to resend the other link and then to send this one again.
Yeah.
To make sure he'd come, because I have questions on professionalism as well, on exactly what he wants done with that.
Do you have a grade for your personal and group plan yet? Because we turned those in a while ago.
No, I've got personal and group plan. I am going to move rooms.
Man, I just spent 5 minutes talking to myself.
Yeah, you left us on a cliffhanger there.
What? I thought I was talking to you guys, kind of saying, "Hey, here's some pieces I need to work on, and stuff." And then I look up, and it's like
rude. These guys won't even
dead
my
silent.
questions.
Well, what you said was, what I need to work on is, and then I watched you drop out, and I went,
No, I was just kind of. What's funny is I hit my little GitHub IO button to kind of go see what I need to work on, and it was the actual Hangout.
That you clicked
X on? It dropped me off.
Oh.
So. I mean, I need to. We still got to talk about eventually. I think someone's going to teach about JavaScript events, right?
That's me next week.
And then I've got some CSS3 pieces I need to do better on, and fix my DOM stuff.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, if you want, I could show the code to my game, because that does a lot of DOM and CSS animation. Transition, transformation, if you guys want to go over that to see if that helps you understand that a little bit better, since Michael's not here, or we can just end and go on our ways.
Do you have time, Jason? Or
yeah, that's fine. Yeah. Okay.
I'd like to kind of see how you did it.
Yeah, some of it, I wonder if I kind of pieced together, like, oh wait, now it's working, or kind of thing, but
Right, that's how I do it.
okay, I'll get Caitlin in a minute. Will you sit down? Okay, I'll get her. No, Nick. Okay, you go upstairs and go talk to her then. Okay, so this is my HTML file. I actually pulled stuff out into separate files this time because it was getting so long. So basically, this is all I start with. Is I've got basically my button. This is my little number of guesses counter, and then my game, which it starts with the class stacked, because that way it actually gives it the animation to spread out. I don't know if Jason's actually seen the game.
I haven't yet. No.
So let me
begin.
pull that up.
Cool. Pretty cool.
Do a new game.
Yeah.
So you click new game and it slides it out.
Wow, it even uses different.
To show it, and then you can flip them over to check and try and get a match. So right now, here's an 8, and oh, that was a 9. Thought I saw an 8 somewhere. No. Oh, I just saw the goodness. It's really hard when it's like 45 and 47. So I'm like, oh, I just saw a 40 something, and then it's gone. When it's found, it kind of wiggles and turns green, and then doesn't flip anymore.
Cool.
So I started with just this game here, and if I go to the JavaScript, I start out with this make game. Okay, so I've got this counter that at the very top is where I kind of initialize it, so it's a global variable and I can use it everywhere. I set the counter's inner HTML to be 0 so that it starts out right. And then I make this array of numbers. And I go 1 through 9 because half of 18 is 9. Hey, Nikki, will you come out of the kitchen, please? I thought I saw a spider in the kitchen, and Mama didn't want to worry about it right now because it looked huge. Come on. Nikki, please. Oh, come on, girl. There you go. Here, I'll bring you your game from the kitchen, so then you don't have to worry about it. Here's your book. You want to come sit by Mama? You can come sit by me. There we go. Or you can just drop your game. Here you go. Okay. Sorry. So now I've got this for loop, and 9 is half of 18 because I just decided to make 18 cards. I could change this to be whatever and actually set what the number of cards is going to be, and then do half of it here.
Okay.
And then I do a random
number
calculation to get a random number, and I push it up there twice so that you'll actually have a match.
Cool.
Okay, and then I shuffle the array so that not all the numbers are right next to each other. And then I get the game ID, and right now if it's blank, which when you first start the game, or I'm sorry, if it's not blank, meaning if you're clicking to start a new game, it will restack them, and then later down here it'll unstack them again.
Okay.
And I just did a set timeout, meaning it gave it a little bit of delay. I don't know if I should have done it through transitions to try and have that delay instead of this one. But this is how I was able to get it to work. So if he tells me I need to do a different way, I'll have to learn it. And then I set the game inner HTML to be blank so that, because this only happens if it wasn't blank. If it is blank, well, I mean, it just resets to blank anyway so that my DOM actually creates a new game. Goes through the shuffled blank list -1 with an equal sign here. So I probably could have just done it without the equals and then without the -1, but whatever. And I do my document create element div. I set the attribute of the class card and the attribute of the onClick, which is a click listener. Show you. And then I set the front of the card, create the element div, and I set the attribute to be front. And then I set a span element to be the number. And then append that span child to the span, meaning the text. And then append the span to the front. And then I create the back, set the element class, the attribute of the class back. And then I append the front, append the back, and then I append the div to the game. And then I've got the set timeout. This is for when you've removing the restack. And then this one removes the stacked, depending on which game you're coming from. If you're coming from the very first when you click it or any other time after. And then the click listener, I actually was following a tutorial. So part of this is from the tutorial. I actually cut it down a bunch because I didn't need as much as they had. But I just have this card list. I pulled all the stuff from the card list and I checked if it contained the word flipped. Because when you click on it, it adds the class flipped.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Right now it doesn't contain flipped, so it actually adds it right here. So when you click on it to begin with, it'll add the class flipped. And then it was also allowing you that if you clicked on it again, it would remove the flipped. But I should probably take that out because I don't ever actually do that. Well, no, maybe I do. I'll check later. So then it goes to card flip and it passes that same card into the card flip class up here. Or function, not class. Where I check the active to get the element by name flipped. And I also check for the class name of found. If the active or the flipped .length equals 2, meaning I've had 2 that have been flipped over. I have my first card and my second card. Set those. I up the counter to let me know that I've actually flipped 2 cards and set the counter. And then I check if the first child, meaning first is that card, the first child is the front, and then the first child again is the span. If that inner HTML equals the second front span inner HTML. This is probably not the best way to do it, but it worked out for me that it happened to be the first child. If I move it around, it doesn't work. Meaning if I have front back appended first, do it, but I couldn't figure it out. And then I set the attribute for the background color to be green. I add the list, I add the found, I remove flipped, add found, and remove flipped. And see, this is where I remove flipped, so I probably don't need this down here. I probably could just say if it's clicked, just add the class flipped and then move over. So I might change that. Going back up though, I also make it so that if the found.length is equal to 18, meaning you found them all, then it will give you a confirm box saying, congrats, you found them all. Would you like to start a new game? And if so, I just call make game again and it resets everything. If 2 weren't clicked, meaning you clicked only 1, then it would, you clicked 2 and it wasn't a match, then it would remove the class flipped on both the first and the second inside a timeout, so it gave it a little bit of time to flip. Which also I probably could use delay on, so he's probably going to nick me on that too. Possibly. Set timeout just worked so much better than trying to work with delay. And I did use transition, so hopefully he's okay with it. And that's all my JavaScript code for this. And then the styles, basically, right here is where it starts. This is, I set the options at the top, meaning the button and this counter are next to each other. The card, I gave it a specific width and height. A margin, made it position relative, a table on it. For the card inside the game though, I made it display flex and then wrapped it around so that I would get all the cards to kind of wrap around and be in a nice grid system. Gave it a width of really wide in order to get the 6 cards to fit all along one side. And then I added a transition to the game because when I first start it, I have it start as stacked. So I have the transition on the stacked as well as on the game, as well as on the restack. I probably don't need it in all 3 places. I was reading this week that it says just to have it on the first one where you're starting. But I just put it on all 3 because I was having a hard time figuring out how it was working and just kind of threw it on all 3 and then it seemed to work. So I wonder if I needed it just on the first one, and then when I transitioned again, it was transitioning from game to restack. So I needed it on game because that's where it was going. But then I was going from restack to game back again. So I wondered if I needed it again on here because restack would be the first after the other transition. But it works. Width is just saying that it's going to do the width at 2 seconds. The comma means you're doing a second one. Height at 2 seconds. And then ease is kind of that cubic Benzer. So it's just saying you're going to start slow, go quickly, and then go slow out. So it kind of just gives it a fun transition of 2 seconds. So it makes a nice, when you click new game, it kind of slides out and then slides back in. To where it was kind of slow at first, got a little faster, and then slowed down again. And then found, obviously gave it the color white, and then gave it this WebKit transformation to rotate Y 0 so that it wiggled it a little bit. I think the wiggle really is down. Yes, I hear. I think the wiggle actually is a little bit farther down. Found, yeah, here we go. The animation for the wiggle.
Oh, huh.
Kind of wiggles it here on the keyframe. So that I rotate it 20 degrees so that it goes
I see. Yeah.
over there, and then a -20, and then a +20, and and then a negative 20, and then back to 0.
Okay. Oh, yeah, I was wondering how you did that. That's good.
That's pretty cool.
And it's 0.3 seconds, so it's really quick. And it's linear so that it's not slow in, fast, and slow out. It's just fast, 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 fast. It's just this.
Yeah. Very cool.
I alternate it so that it, I don't know if I need alternate exactly because I already kind of alternate it here, but it just kind of shoop, 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 makes it so that it moves back and forth nice.
Wow.
And then the card flip, this part was tricky. So I have this I also followed. I gave credit to the card flipping. I changed a couple of things, but not much, so I gave credit. You have your front and your back, their position absolute, because then they're on top of each other. Then you give it a top and a left of 0 and width 100%, so they're just on top, they're on top of each other and matching the card itself, which was 150 by 176 or whatever. And then card dot front, card dot back, I gave it a WebKit back face visibility is hidden, meaning it won't show that back face. And then gave it the transform. So the front I actually had to change this a little bit in order to get the front on top. Because the example had it so that the back was on front, or I'm sorry, the front was on top, and I wanted the front on back because I needed to see the back of the card first. So I made this one negative 180 degrees and made the front or the back. Where's the back one? Back one didn't have one because it started at 0. That's just where it starts. So I had to flip-flop it so that this one started at negative 180 and the other one was at 0, so the back started first. And then that also meant that I had to flip these ones, the transform, when I actually do the flipped. I needed to rotate 180 degrees for the back and 0 for the front so that it flips it all the way around in the transform.
Oh, Mama, here's Caitlin.
Yes, I will get Caitlin. Give me a minute, okay? Gave the span some position, top left, bottom left, margin, auto, in order to get it centered, as well as the height and the line height. That also came from the example. But that's basically it. The animation is a little rough, but you just have to kind of remember if you want to flip it all the way over, it's 0 on the front and negative 180 on the back, depending on which one you need flipped.
Right.
Flip it so the actual card back, card front has it opposite. So whatever you want showing first, don't give it a transformation, and the one you want showing second, give it the negative. And then when you flip it, switch those two. So that this is 0 and this is negative. And it's just the Y rotations, not the X rotations. If you want X rotations, it would flip it up and down this way.
Yeah.
Versus left and right that way. But yeah, I don't know if that helped at all.
Oh yeah, no, that's a lot of work.
Yeah, it is.
It's a lot of work.
Nuts.
Wow. Well,
but
sorry, the teacher gave you extra credit.
Yeah. Well, I'm just hoping that my set timeouts are okay, and that I didn't need to use the delay somehow.
I'll see why.
I was trying to use the delay, and it just didn't seem like it was working until I added this. Because it's a delay removing the class, not a delay on the transition itself. But maybe it would work. It depends on the score he gives me. If he decides to dock me on it, then I'll learn how to figure out the delay.
I doubt it. I think everything else will make up for it.
I don't know.
I don't see a problem.
Sometimes he can be picky.
Me either.
Sorry, I said professor, and I meant Brother James if he's watching. I'm going to constantly be on my toes.
It's kind of hard to get used to that.
Well,
Yeah.
it's funny because I had another teacher that was Brother Joe, or I guess we called him Bro Joe. When I wasn't in his presence, it was professor, like, oh, okay, well, the professor says this and whatever. So it's hard when I'm not like face to face with them
Mm-hmm.
saying, Brother James, what are you doing? Anyway, so
Yeah.
I'm working on the habit. Don't call him professor.
Still got a few more weeks before we finish, so.
Yeah. All right.
Cool. Well, thanks, you guys.
Yeah,
Yeah.
thanks.
Don't know what happened with Michael. All right,
Yeah,
back.
I don't know either.
All right.
But
Well,
hopefully he had a good excuse.
yeah.
And he'll have to teach. We'll have to do 3 people next week,
And
which will be interesting.
yeah. Yep.
Oh, well. Okay, well, I'm going to go. My daughter's crying, and I've got to figure out what that spider in the kitchen was.
Yeah, I've got to get
Like,
going too.
seriously, we've got blinds that are slits like this up against our window, and I saw like a big like spider shadow, and I don't know if it's inside or outside. So I vacated the kitchen. A little nervous.
Just squish it with a
See
shoe.
if I can last till my husband gets home. Well, it was like that big of a shadow.
We'll get a big shoe then.
No joke.
Where do you live?
Don't worry. Bountiful.
I'm in Bountiful, so I don't
Yeah.
think it's that bad.
Oh, okay.
Probably,
But
probably
and
a
I also don't know if
tarantula.
it was inside or outside. So it totally could have been on the outside of the glass. Really hoping it was on the outside of the glass. But I'm also really nervous that it's like crawling around somewhere because I haven't been watching it. So anyway.
Yeah. Well, best of luck.
Okay.
If we don't see you
Alright.
next
Guys.
week, we'll know what happened.
Yeah, if you don't hear from me in the next couple days, just know I was attacked by a spider.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Bye,
We'll see
guys.
you all
Thanks.
next week.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks.
We'll see you.